Well, everyone's playing a game. There are multiple levels of game. The way that I see it is, the contestants have their game. We have what we want to do. We have our own intuition that we're working with, but we're only getting certain information, the things that we see and hear ourselves or receive that information from other contestants, or in some interview with a producer, they ask us questions. So the producers can ask, they've asked me questions and I'm like, oh my gosh, I didn't even think about that. Like, wow, good question. They won't feed you any information. They're not like telling you stuff, but they'll ask questions in and like cause for me as a competitor, cause me to think about things that I wasn't thinking about or seeing before myself. And they want to make a good show. So they're trying to get certain like things to happen, but without being manipulative and without telling you what to do. They are asking certain questions to see what comes naturally from inside of a competitor.
Do you think, like, in a way, which I never really thought about until just now, like, then in a way, do you think like producers are kind of playing the game of Survivor, like they're this extra player? Because like you said, I mean, like it's different, like in like the Housewives, like, right, there is, or any other drama show, there is producer involvement where they're like, this one said that, and that's different. But this is like the rules are the rules, and like, it's a fine line. And like, I'm not saying they manipulate, but like in a way, like if you're a competitor and like you're smart and like self-aware like you, like I would think by some of the questions it would sway you. Or no, I'm being too dramatic and reading too much into it.
Well, I don't think it sways you either way, but they could, because they're pretty balanced in the way they ask questions. Kind of like me when I was a journalist, you have to like you might have your own take on how the situation is, but you have to be more balanced in the way you ask your questions and tell your story. They will ask questions and like then ask devil's advocate questions. So they want to what they're trying to do is get as much information as they can depending on how the story goes, like what choices you end up making. They can
Right.
tell a story that's cohesive. So they have to cover all their bases in that way. I don't know. I wouldn't say that they're playing the game necessarily because they can't like I don't think they choose a favorite and then they're like, oh, I'm going to try to get my horse to win. But they like the producers 100% like Survivor. They like the strategy. They like when people are thinking, a few steps ahead or thinking about something that they would never consider, like they're being surprised. So there is this element psychologically. If you are the kind of person who likes to be liked, and I think most reality people are, and probably most people in general like to be liked
I
and
would
like
think so.
approval, then as a interviewee, there is this sense of I want to give this person, this producer, what will make them happy. And that's sort of the casting process is like, well, you've got to please the casting agents to get cast. You have to get Jeff Probst to like you and want you on the show. So there's that like performance aspect. And then that comes into play with the producers as well. And of course, it comes into play at Tribal Council with Jeff too. People are starstruck by him, love him, want to give him whatever he wants.
Like, even right, so like your first tribal council, I imagine people are starstruck by him.
Yeah, I mean, it's another element of the game. It really is that you wouldn't really consider until you're out there playing.